I quit the gym and I'm so much happier, but importantly, I'm also healthier. As a physiotherapist, I get asked all the time about what is the best form of exercise. So in this video, I'm going to share why I quit the gym and what the best form of exercise looks like using my experience helping hundreds of patients with this very same question. If you're new here, my name's Mahin and I'm an advanced practice physiotherapist. On this channel, we explore lifestyle strategies and tools that help people create healthier and happier lives. In this video, I'll talk about how our approach to exercise can change to make it more enjoyable, meaning that you're engaging with physical activity more through good habits, making it more sustainable, and making you healthier. First, I want to start off by bringing your attention to what we commonly think about when we hear the word exercise. We usually think of formal exercise such as going to the gym, going for a run, doing an exercise class, or playing sport. But it's possible to keep healthy without doing any of these. From what we know about our ancestors, they didn't hang out in crowded gyms, repeatedly lifting weights for an hour at a time, a few days a week, or go for a morning run before heading out to hunt or gather for the day. This was also the same for us in childhood. Our exercise or physical activity was based around informal movement and play. We never used to think, oh, I need to do some exercise. However, as we've developed in the modern age and throughout our own lifetime, we've become more sedentary. So many jobs are now desk-based and include working from home, and with our main source of entertainment being watching the TV, we search for ways to stay active to counteract this. However, this means that the form of physical activity that we choose to do can actually feel quite unnatural to us. And the reason they feel unnatural is because most of the time they are. And this is why it's so difficult to remain consistent with these forms of exercise. It's absolutely fine if you enjoy going to the gym and are able to sustain this over a long period of time. But don't be fooled that this may be enough to counter sedentary time. Going to the gym for an hour 3 times a week and thinking that's enough physical activity for our week can actually be really detrimental to our health if we're then sedentary for the remaining 165 hours. We need to start thinking of movement and activity as a daily thing that happens naturally and regularly. I mean, we wouldn't only just sleep or eat 3 times a week now, would we? You only have to look at Okinawa in Japan, one of the world's blue zones, where the longest living and happiest people in the world live, to see the value of regular, moderate exercise. People who live past 100 report walking daily and attending to their vegetable gardens every morning. So movement is just a part of their life. There's no gym going or running there, but exercise is incorporated into their daily lives, so they just don't have to think about doing it. It just happens organically. I always say to my patients, the best form of exercise to do is the form that you don't even think about doing. So what excites you and fits into your day the easiest? And this doesn't have to be all at one time in the day. It can be spread out throughout the day as well. Ultimately, it shouldn't feel like you need to do it, but rather that you don't even notice that it's happened. Of course, there may be an optimal type of exercise, intensity and frequency if you're trying to achieve specific goals, for example, weight loss or muscle gain. But even then, you're far better off doing something you enjoy consistently than doing something that may be better for these goals, but you only do it every few weeks because you dread doing it. For me, going to the gym felt like a need and not a want, and that is why I've cancelled my gym membership. I found that aiming to go to the gym for an hour 3 to 4 times a week wasn't sustainable as my life got busier, and I just ended up feeling guilty and self-loathing when I failed to meet that target. So I'm going to now take you through a process that will hopefully help you to find an enjoyable activity that you want to do, rather than just doing it because you feel or you've been told that it's good for you. This process involves you forming a picture of your desired identity and then building healthy physical habits around this. Firstly, identity. So, what is your desired identity? What type of person are you aspiring to be? These are questions that I help you answer in my free 7-day email course on forming healthy habits and achieving your goals. I won't go into too much detail here, but I'll leave a link in the description below to that course if you want to check it out because, well, it's free. But once you have an image in your mind about the person that you want to be, you can ask yourself honestly whether the type of exercise you're doing now fits in with your desired identity. If it doesn't, it's no wonder you are struggling to do it consistently, as what you're currently doing is not what you want to be doing. Never mind how hard you're trying to convince yourself it is. A way that I've pictured my desired identity previously is by visualizing my ideal week and the activities that I'd be doing within that week. At the time, I was going to the gym 3 times a week, but when I thought about my ideal week, it didn't include going to the gym at all. Instead, it involved doing more outdoor activities like walking, cycling, and playing sports such as cricket and golf. This meant that there was a big mismatch between my current activity and my desired identity and ideal week. I wanted to be the type of person who was active outdoors, as I know there are great physical and mental health benefits of being outdoors over indoors. But whilst I was going to the gym, I wasn't moving towards my desired identity of being someone who was active outdoors. I also wanted to do a form of exercise that was more social. When I went to the gym, even though it was busy and there were so many people, it was not social at all, as everyone had their headphones in and were looking at their phones. You know the feeling. This, by the way, is now something I think as so unnatural when I think about how we've evolved as humans. So since quitting the gym, I've now started playing cricket again for the first time in 7 years, which moves me closer to my desired identity of being active outdoors in a social environment. I've also managed to fit in more walking into my week, and from a good social perspective, I've joined CrossFit where I've met some great people, whilst also getting my strength training for the weekend. So we can't rely on motivation alone for consistency, even if we found the exercise that we really want to do and enjoy. This is where forming habits come in. Only having outcome-based goals without having the habits to support us in getting there is like trying to publish a book without writing any pages, or trying to cross a river without learning how to swim first. We should always focus on the process first and set goals based on this, as we have control over the process but not always the outcome. And all habits follow the same sequence. There's a cue, which triggers a craving, which leads to a routine, and there's some sort of reward at the end of it. For example, cue equals argument with your partner, craving equals a need to reduce your stress, routine equals having a cigarette, reward equals stress is reduced. This sequence is important to understand when trying to break bad habits, but also when trying to form healthy habits, such as around exercise or physical activity. I've taken the following tips on habit formation from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear that I'll leave a link to in the description below. Firstly, making the cue obvious. This involves finding where your activity lives in your day-to-day life. In order to make the cue to do an activity obvious, we need to create the optimal environment. For example, by changing the first thing you see when walking into a room or unlocking your phone to create the path of least resistance. We also need to decide when and where the habit will live. For example, a specific time of the day, or stacking it on top of another habit you're already doing. For example, brushing your teeth, boiling a kettle, or returning home from work. This is all about making the exercise you want to do glaringly obvious. For example, if you want to do yoga, leave your yoga mat out somewhere so that when you see it in the morning, you know to do some yoga. If you want to lift weights more, keep a set of dumbbells in your kitchen near the worktop you make tea. If you just generally want to move more, set an alert on your phone or watch to go off if you've been sat for more than half an hour. Secondly, make the craving attractive. It's so important that your social circle supports the behavior that you're trying to change. Think about joining a group where their valued activity is your desired activity. I mentioned that I started CrossFit recently, and the people that I meet there I found have really similar health goals. Another example of where a social group displays a desired habit is parkrun. It takes the same amount of effort to run alone for 5k than it does in a group, but doing it in a group makes it more attractive. This is why parkrun has become so successful, as it's created a community around physical activity. You can also make a desired habit more attractive by combining it with an activity that you already do that you enjoy. One way I've done this is by combining listening to an audiobook, something I enjoy, with an outdoor walk during my lunch break. And on the days that I forget my headphones, I'm far less likely to go on a walk at lunchtime. Next, make the routine easy. The important part here is to start slow and low and gradually improve the habit over time. The hardest part with any activity is starting. So starting with something small that is seemingly pointlessly easy is a great way to start forming a habit. This may sound ridiculous, but for someone who wants to start going to the gym 3 times a week, their first goal may be to only drive to the gym 3 times a week without even getting out of the car. This sounds daft, but it's the start of forming a habit and finding a place where it lives. Over time, this can be gradually increased to a 10-minute workout, then 30 minutes, and so on. Achieving an initial short-term goal gives a sense of success and a motivation to continue, which is what then turns that into an automatic behavior. We've all had a thought about exercise where it just feels like such a heavy lift to do. This is because we're often aiming for too much. Without making the desired behavior easier, the big task ahead can be overwhelming, reducing our motivation and lowering our moods when we don't do it. So pick something that feels almost too easy to do that you know that you can commit to. Trying to do some daily Zumba for 30 minutes, start with putting some music on and moving for 2 minutes. Aiming to walk 10,000 steps a day, start with walking around the block or down your road every day. Remember, the habit must be formed before it can be improved. Reduce the amount of friction between you and the activity. Lastly, create a reward for yourself immediately after completing your desired activity or exercise. This creates a positive feedback loop which makes you conditioned to repeating the activity again when the same cue presents in the future. Initially, just completing the thing that you want to do may be enough of a reward, but this may become less satisfying the more consistent you become. Other good ways of rewarding yourself may be sharing your success with a friend or an accountability buddy, allowing yourself some me time in the evening with a soak in the bath, or watching your favorite TV series. I set myself the goal of doing yoga in the morning 3 times a week recently, but was struggling to make this into a habit. One thing that really helped was linking up with my friend who also had a similar goal of creating a better morning routine, and we now act as accountability buddies for each other. The reward for me after completing my morning yoga, apart from feeling great, is being able to message my friend telling her that I've stuck to the routine. This also meets the second rule of habit formation, make it attractive, as accountability buddies help support the behavior you're trying to change. To learn more about how you can use your desired identity to shape your goals and habits, check out the link in the description below to my free email course on forming healthy habits and achieving your goals. Otherwise, if you like this video, then you love this healthy lifestyle playlist that I've made that has my most popular videos on ways to improve your general health and well-being, such as through your diet and your sleep. Thanks for watching, have a lovely day, and I'll see you on the next video.